In the next edition of It's About Money, my guest will be Chris Spinelli, the owner and founder of Roc Brewing Company. Be sure to join us. Hello and welcome to another edition of It's About Money. I'm Nannette Nocon and thank you for joining us. I'm excited to have Chris Spinelli, who's the founder and owner of Roc Brewing Company, and he'll be talking about Bucks and Brewing. So thank you for joining us, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
I love your place. I'm not unfortunately, I can't be a beer drinker, but my husband is a connoisseur and lots of our friends are, so we go there. But I wanted to invite you to talk about Roc Brewing because it's new trend in the country. Wonderful in the community. So give us a history of Roc Brewing Company.
Yeah, so quick background about the brewery and how we got started. It started with a friend and I coming out of college. Not much to do one weekend. We were hanging out at my parents' house, and my mother, Patty, who is my business partner, bought us a homebrew kit. And we quickly evolved in going from brewing once a week to 3-4 times and took over a house. And quickly parents want to throw you out after that. And they encouraged us and pushed us to open up a brewery. And we looked around town and we looked into the market economics backgrounds for both of us. Kind of kicked in, hey, there's a market here and there's an opportunity with such a growing industry to jump in. And in June of 2011, we opened up the doors at 56 South Union Street. And now we're coming up on 4 years at the brewery. So it was just kind of a fun hobby that we took a little too far.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's wonderful when a hobby becomes a source of living and encourages economic vitality. Now, when you opened your the brewery, it really was only 2 others, right, that were open?
Yeah.
For craft okay.
Yeah, when we opened up 2011, we started researching. There was only 2 breweries, craft breweries in the greater Rochester area, and 1 major brewery, Genesee. And then you had Rohrbox and Custom Brew Crafters. And then within that same year that we were opening, a couple other breweries opened right before us, and that was Naked Dove, Three Heads, and Rogers. And then if you look at just this past 2 months, 3 other breweries have opened up in the greater Rochester area. So it's exploded. There's roughly about 12 to 15 in the greater Rochester area, and that includes some of the suburbs. And then as you move out into the Finger Lakes region, you're upwards of 75 to 100. So it's a exploding industry that, just 5 years ago had 1,800 breweries in America. There's now 3,000 breweries in America with 3,000 in planning. So very rapidly expanding industry.
So you got in at the right time. That's great.
Yeah, we definitely jumped in a little bit before the rush, and hopefully that really keeps us and helps us as we move forward to keep ahead of the curve.
So when your mother, Patty, bought you, or your parents bought you the brewing kit, from there, how did it materialize to go into Union Street? Did you have to do a business plan? How did you finance the
Yeah, so it's nice having family with background in business. My father's owned a couple businesses. He teaches entrepreneurialism. My mother has HR experience and just overall ingenuity kind of experience. And through them, we were able to connect. Rochester's a small town, but it's great to use those contacts. And one of the biggest successes we had was connecting with the 10 program, the Entrepreneurial Network through Monroe County. And they really helped us build a business plan, work through financials, help with the projections. Obviously, having a background in economics definitely helped, in a background in business, being able to write up this stuff and do the numbers and prove them that I actually knew what I was talking about. And so from there, we worked with them, got us in contacts too with different potential investors, the 3 F's too, the friends, family, and fools.
Friends, family, and fools.
You can't avoid them. They are very important, and that's how many businesses get started. And then, traditional bank loans. And then there was other interesting ways we worked with, like Sam Adams and the business-to-business loans through their Experience-ship Brew the American Dream program. So.
Oh, great. I didn't know that they had that program. I remember you guys talking about that and having visited the facility at Sam Adams, right? But
yeah.
So they have a program where they encourage smaller brewers to participate?
Yeah, so Jim, being Jim Cook, founder and owner of Boston Beer Company, when he started, couldn't get the loans that he needed because banks don't traditionally want to touch anywhere from that $10,000 to $25,000 range that a lot of small businesses, especially in the restaurant and bar industry, need. And so what he saw was an opportunity to work with his vendors and restaurants and help them grow by simply giving them these smaller loans. And so he built the Brew the American Dream program, and then it started into other companies, coffee shops, and other little food things. And then he finally reached out to breweries and started to open up to breweries. And from there, he went further with us. We were one of the first breweries building the Experience program, where it's a full 1-year mentorship where they bring us in, they do full day speed coaching from everything from gym all the way down to procurement, marketing, legal. And from there, since we were first, we started asking, and we got really connected with them and close. We were able to brew a beer with them. We stay in touch with them. I still keep in touch with Jim from time to time and can ask for any advice. And it really was more than just a loan that helped us buy our keg washer at the time. It really became a mentorship, an experience where we were able to learn more from someone who's very key to the industry's success.
Oh, that's beautiful. So really, you opened up all the possibilities of where you could learn from and get resources, not only of money, but time and experience, and pull them all together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Very commendable. That's exciting. Now, how did you know that you had a good product?
The biggest thing we knew that we had a good product was we were making it, and we were making far more than John and I could just drink at the time. And our friends were trying it, and they loved it, and they kept drinking it faster than we were making it. So we said, okay, clearly we're doing something here that people like, and we took a chance with it. And we've been open now 4 years, and it's clearly something people still like. So we're very much moving forward with that. And it was just kind of, people liked it, let's go for it.
Very nice. Now, how do you distribute the beer? You have a bar that is a tasting room, really. It's got a liquor license at your location. How do you distribute? How do other people know about your beer?
So the big thing we have right now, obviously, we're still a small company, so traditional marketing, advertising aren't easy. Great programs like these help us to actually reach more audience and crowds. But the big thing right now, we have the tap room at 56 South Union Street. And you can come in, and we do pints, flights, and growlers there. And that's been a big portion of our marketing and our distribution for a long time. But we also sell it to bar accounts. And most recently, we moved over to Rhino Beverage Distribution. So we have a distributor now who is helping us reach more and more accounts everywhere from the greater Rochester area out to Buffalo and Syracuse. So just this month, we moved over to them, and we've already doubled our account size. So it's great to work with them. So
there's really a path where you do your own marketing connections with the restaurants, and then you can connect with a company and then do the work for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like just one path. It's not like you can't sell your product except if you go through a distributor.
Right, and that was not always true. At one point, it was the 3-tier system was very strict, and you had to follow producer, wholesaler, customer. With the craft beer revolution, it's really kind of come back to, well, it's not big companies, it's small local companies, and connecting that local customer with the local producer and really allowing them to use different channels of the 3-tier system. But as you grow, it's so much easier to work ultimately with a distributor. They do provide benefits that are terrifying and great at the same time. So
it just opens more possibilities.
Exactly.
And it's nice when you know the ropes, so then it's easier to make that transition later.
Very much.
Oh, that's really exciting. So you said that this is a change, because I was under the impression that there was that 3-tier system. So is that only unique to you, your business like yours, because of the size of the business, or is that changed for all?
It's really size of the business.
Oh, okay.
It's state to state. Everyone has
their own regulations.
Their own regulations, but in New York State, due to size, we're allowed to up to, I think, about 60,000 barrels a year. You're allowed to still self-distribute.
I got it.
But after a certain point, it almost becomes harder because you have to set up your own distributorship. You have to set up your own trucks and your own fleet. So at some point, it's just easier to move over to the 3-tier system. But for now, there's laws that allow small microbreweries to still self-distribute in the state.
Oh, beautiful. So really the state is encouraging this type of business model instead of just, being working through a large company right away. So this is great because that's what we want, right? For state of New York, people always say it's not friendly to business owners, small business, and it sounds like
we're trying to get there. We're definitely, the governor has done a great job working with our executive from the Brewers Association, the New York State Brewers Association, and they're really trying their best, seeing what the wineries have done, and now seeing that craft beer is exploding even faster. They're really trying to get behind it and really trying to work through changing legislation to promote an industry that has great potential for its manufacturing jobs, growth. It's been the last 10 years over double-digit growth, and it's really something that's pushing people. And a lot of it's local. A lot of it's that community base, so the money stays in the community and helps build that community.
Very nice. That's great. It's really been enlightening. I'm sure our audience is really paying attention because it takes a lot to put what you did together. And I'm sure along the way you've had some challenges that you wish you didn't have to go that way, but it sounds to me like you've been pretty planful about it and had all, like you said, the 3 Fs, the friends, family, and the fools may be the advice, but
they're good to have, and they really do help. And you can't underestimate, that one person who's just so excited and willing to jump in, where others look at them and say, "Hey, you're a fool." The reality is, they might be on board for the biggest, blow up. Just like Sam Adams recently became a billionaire.
Sure, right.
It took 30 years, but
hey.
You never know. So.
That's a better deal than 30 years of something else, right?
Exactly.
That's great. So tell me about the product itself. So with the styles of beer, there's many different, and you got these cool names that go with it. So tell me about how you decide what style of beer that you would do and how you name them.
Yeah. So we're currently in a big transition. We just brought on a new head brewer, and he's working through all sorts of new recipes. And, a lot of it comes down to right now, we just moved from a 1 barrel and we're jumping up to a 7 barrel. So we had a smaller system, and we were allowed to do a lot more playing around and see what our customers wanted and asking them. But as we're scaling up, it's really trying to find what beers in the industry are popular and what beers tend to be the new trends, and there's ways to follow it. At the end of the day, IPAs have taken over the craft beer world, and they're never going away. India Pale Ales are going to be a staple of the craft beer movement for the foreseeable future. So we've started to focus a little bit on doing a couple different variations of that. We do still have some of our original core, which were our more traditional pale ale, which was one of the original styles in craft beer, all the way down to some of our crazy Belgians that we're doing. So right now we're just kind of playing around a little bit. I think we found 4 or 5 beers that we really want to focus and then work within that seasonal kind of rotation. So if you have a core beer, maybe an IPA, maybe our pale ale, and then you kind of support it with an Oktoberfest in the fall, or a nice saison in the spring and the summer. It's kind of playing around with that kind of stuff, or a nice stout in the winter. So we kind of play around from there, and we're really working through what's going to be our flagship and our core beers over the next 2 to 3 months. Coming to names, I don't even know where we come up with our names in the States. We'll sit around, and we don't really plan them very well. We don't have a necessarily a marketing strategy for that yet. We're starting to really work, and we're rebranding ourselves and marketing, and we have a couple people. Our new assistant brewer, head chef, his wife does marketing for a living, and so she's come in. Okay. Another friend who's been with us since I was doing some side jobs before I started. I met him, and he's a marketing major from RIT, and so he's helping us, and we're building a new marketing plan. But when it comes to names, it's usually Nick, our new head brewer, Josh, our assistant brewer, and I sitting down and just kind of throwing some things out, and we try something, and someone says something, and it kind of connects, and we go from there. And we're working through 3 or 4 different beers that now have a vertical reach where you can take. We start off an IPA, move to a double IPA, or we have a saison, and another one is a saison with some fruit infused. So we built like a base name, and then we're kind of playing off of those. So we'll see how those go over the next couple of months, but it's kind of a guessing game some days.
Sure. But it's nice that you could adjust it. So if it looks like something is not selling, if you will, then you just adjust and maybe not brew that much. Now, from the concept of how you do it to the time it gets to the glass or a mug of beer, how long does that take? What's the cycle?
The cycle is it's relatively it's not too long, but it is about 18 days. Usually from brew day is about a 1-day process, and from brew day through fermentation through carbonation to kegging, it takes about 18 days. Anywhere from 18 to 3 months sometimes, depending on what beers you're doing. We have some beers that we're actually, we put them in barrel aging, and they're going to sit in there for a year. But for the most part, we try to turn our beers over every 3 weeks. We try to get a beer from brew to product. It does change a little bit as you move into lagers. Fermentation process is a little bit longer, and we're looking to those in the future. But for now, we're doing strictly ales, and they move relatively quickly. It's not like wine.
Okay, got it. All right, that sounds good. Well, great. We're going to take a quick break, but this has been so much fun. My guest is Chris Spinelli, who is the owner, founder of Roc Brewing Company. We'll be right back. And we're back. I'm Nannette Nocon. Thanks for joining us. It's about money, and I have Chris Spinelli here talking with us about Roc Brewing Company. He is one of the founders and the owner of the brewing company. So thanks again for being here, Chris.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for helping me with understand the brewing process and all that. That's wonderful. So tell me about some of the challenges, some of the barriers you faced as you were getting started.
Some of the barriers that we face biggest was not really understanding what we were getting into. It's very exciting, and I guess as an entrepreneur, you have to take some risk, but make sure you know as much as you can. We ran into issues with everything. Your classic issues of state and federal and the government regulations and working your way through paperwork and the stresses of, well, what do I need to do? What do I not know? Who do I contact to get the right information? To financing, finding the funding. Small businesses, especially when we started, 2011, we still weren't anywhere near economic rebound that we're talking about now that I'm not sure everyone has seen yet. Trying to find the funding and get banks, especially banks at that point, wouldn't open their doors to open up a brewery and find the capital. It's a very capital-intense industry. Everything's stainless steel, and commodities and metal especially have gone up significantly. So finding all that and working our way through that, and then actually building our product, marketing it. It was a challenge, but it was something that I loved. Especially from being just out of college. I'd worked at a couple jobs already. I liked them, but I felt like I wasn't being challenged, and I felt like I wasn't still learning in that constant education process of it. If you're not learning something, you probably have something wrong at your business, and you need to go figure it out right away, because you should be constantly challenged. And we ran into everything. Even from learning how to do certain basic construction. At some points, I had to learn how to wire our lights. One day because we needed them done, and it would have cost us a little bit extra to have the electrician run them. So I sat down and I figured it out one day, and stuff like that you're constantly on your toes and constantly preparing for.
As long as you're open to learning, then it should be easy. It takes time, so you have to put more sweat there instead of the financing to have people to do that. So then it's a capital-intensive process, but then when you started, it wasn't like you needed the big chunk of money. You were acquiring capital to help build and grow and probably continue to do, right? Yeah,
it's a constant, it's something I guess I'm learning. That's something I'm learning every day is you're constantly seeking capital, especially working capital. When we started, we probably needed a little bit more funding, and we were very resourceful, but we made it through. And we just recently got more funding, to allow us to move to our 7-barrel system, and so we took a bigger chunk. But yeah, you're constantly seeking out that capital because you never know. You might need new kegs as you grow your markets and you're reaching more places and you're producing more beer. Something we're looking into now. Next phase, we're looking to hopefully get into retail packaging, hopefully canning, and buying the cans and the labels for the cans and having the working capital to make that investment to sell it and then hopefully sell more. So it's always a constant, working to manage cash flows, and luckily being a business background, it's something I love to do and I get excited about. So it's been very easy for me to manage through those, few sleepless nights, months on end. But
Sure.
It's still better than sitting at a desk and not loving what you do.
And I think that's what it is. If you love what you do, it's not work. It's really, you're fortunate and grateful for having that opportunity, isn't it? Yeah. So tell me about your location, because you've got a great location. Tell me the history of that building. It's owned by another business, but you've got a nice synergy going there, particularly with the parking space, right?
Yeah. So we were driving down the inner loop one day, and we looked over on the opposite side, right by like the Strong Exam Play area, and there was this building with these giant open windows. And we went over and we talked to them, and it was an architectural firm, and they were looking to lease it out. And originally they had thought, CGS thought that they were going to put a design firm next door to them, kind of build on their synergies there. And we got talking to them, and they loved the idea of it. And so we moved in shortly after that. And so CGS is there. It was an old VFW. They gutted it, repurposed it, and now we kind of work with them. They've helped us do all of our architectural drawings, all of our improvements. They're very much helpful. We just signed a new lease with them, where they really are passionate about keeping us there, and to the point where they'll ask people, do you know where our building is? And they'll be like, well, no, tell me directions. They're like, do you know where Roc Brewing is? And they're like, yeah, we go there all the time. They're like, well, that's our building, so come on down.
They really, you're their landmark, or their landmark.
Yeah, so we've had some great synergies with them, and really working with them, and they work so well with a lot of the community. Buckingham owns the lot next to us, and Buckingham's been open to working with us too, and helping support us, and so it's great having this architectural firm who has so many contacts to really work with the city, help us when we need to make improvements, or especially as the Interloop project's happening now, and we are dead front and center.
Yes.
Working with them and having them understand what we are, why we need the traffic flow the right ways, and we're very excited for when it's done to be from a one-way street to a two-way street, and potentially a lot of retail space there. It's a very fun location, and probably going to be in the prime of up-and-coming Rochester in the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah. When I first discovered, because I drive through the inner loop, and so one morning I said, oh, what's that? So then the next day I'm like, oh, what's that? So I said to my husband, I said to Carl, do you know about this place? It looks like a brewing company. So then that's how we discovered it. And I just love the blue building, the painting of that. And then, like you said, the glass front and the metal. It's just so beautifully done by architecture firm. But I just thought the repurposing of that from a VFW building to something really cool and contemporary is nice.
Yeah, they won an award actually for the repurposed use of it.
Okay.
A really big architectural design award. So it's a very unique and fun building, and that's kind of what caught our eyes. And I think we've added our nice little touch to it too on our side.
Sure.
And we also have the rotating art gallery inside of it. We use local artists to furnish our walls. Instead of going out and buying art and constantly switching it, we bring in local artists. They put up the walls. They come in with their friends, which spreads our word. They have a place to sell their art, and it makes for a great experience.
It's great synergy, really, because they need the people, they need the eyes to look at their art, and instead of having bare walls, you've got different art every few weeks, right?
Yeah,
so.
about every month, we switch it up and keep it fresh, and it makes it so much nicer to walk in and go, oh, hey, look, it's different again. It's not the same thing for day after day.
Sure, and if anybody's strictly an art lover but also like beer, like, hey, come for the art and then try out the beer, and you'd like it, right? So that's good. And then, so what others? So occasionally in the past, you've also had some food service around the area. Do you still do that collaboration with some of the food trucks and stuff like that, which has been popular?
So we're really working now. We brought in a head chef / assistant brewer, and he came from Wegmans and the prepared foods. And so we've kind of worked on building our new menu.
Oh, okay.
One thing being our tater tot waffles.
Okay.
So we put a bunch of tater tots on waffle iron. We do a buffalo chicken, a poutine, and more of a traditional like Rochester meat sauce kind of example. But we still work with the food trucks on occasion, and big thing for us is we want to get our food down so that people did think of us as a food place on top of the beer.
Sure.
You can't just have beer. It's not. It does sell, but at the same time, if you want to keep that customer and retain them longer in the night and have more of an experience and touch on them, you do have to have some food. And the food trucks are popular, and we do have 2 spaces permitted out front, and they're always welcomed. They've just been so busy, it's been hard to keep them coming back because they're flying around from private events and the rodeo. So we're going to work with a few of them again, hopefully this summer, and really try to get them back out front and have a presence there too to keep building our food and customer base.
That's great. I just love the way small businesses are coming to work together and doing that. Have you also been using social media, right, to announce some of your events and stuff?
Yeah, social media is a very ever-changing product now. Facebook is really not as effective unless you really have someone who understands it. And luckily, we have someone now who's really helping us through some of that. I'm not allowed on our Facebook or Twitter anymore, which is good, which is totally fine with me.
Yes.
It's better to have someone who really knows how to make a targeted message. I can say, well, I'm thinking about this and I want to do this, and then they put up this beautiful post, and it does draw more people in. So we're very active on our social media because it's relatively free. And it does work.
There's the market you're also trying to get to, young people. But actually, even older people like me, we come and enjoy too. So it's really across the board. But it's nice. So your location is also, for people who are not familiar with the Inner Loop, that's really near the East End, right? So just a couple blocks from East Avenue.
Yeah, we're right between Monroe Ave and East Avenue on Union Street there. We always say we're Park in Alexander T, if you know where that is. The next block over is us. And we're really kind of centrally located, especially as all that construction finishes. And, we're open to everyone. We love the community. We want all walks of life to come in and experience it. It's a fun, open place where you can meet very unique, nice people. One of my favorites is to watch multi-generations on Saturday. So Saturdays, we get a lot of people coming in from tours, families, friends, high school, college reunions kind of stuff, birthday parties, bachelorette parties. But sometimes you'll get the families come in, and you'll have the grandfather, the son, and the grandson all sitting down, drinking a flight of beer and talking beer and having this very unique experience together across a couple of generations. And it's something that we love to see. And, everyone comes in there and everyone, really interacts, and it's always been a very social place, and that's something we push.
Yes, that's great, and it's nice because it's a venue that's close to a lot of entertainment. We've got the RPO, you've got Jiva, you've got, so people can come in and after a show, which I know we've done.
Yeah, and that's kind of where you guys started coming in regularly, and
right.
They're less than a mile, most of that stuff. So
sure, yeah, it's pretty safe. So, well, thank you so much. This has been a really cool interview. You've been so delightful, and thanks for sharing how you got started. I'm sure our viewers would enjoy and appreciate knowing about that. And thank you. For me, it's been enlightening and enjoyable.
It was a pleasure. So thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. It's a great time.
And best wishes to Roc Brewing. And thank you, our audience, for joining us. I spoke with Chris Spinelli, who is one of the founders and owner of Roc Brewing Company. Until next time, I'm Nannette Nocon.